What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, I wanted to showcase some Shadow Typhlosion gameplay on the channel. This Pokemon, in my opinion, is one of the trickiest to really master because of how squishy it is, as well as being stuck with a 5-turn fast move. It is a little bit clunky to use, but once you learn how to use this thing, just give it a bit of shield advantage or energy lead, and it can pop off. Let's get into the battles and see what it can do. First game of the day, let's see what's in store for us here. Shadow Jumpluff as our lead into a Shadow Dusknoir. Very interesting lead matchup here. I know it doesn't have Ice Punch like the Dusclops had that I used yesterday, and because of that, this matchup is a lot better for us. I'm going to go for an Acrobatics. Let's see if they want to be a little bit risky here. Do they call an Aerial Ace bait? Unfortunately for us, no, they end up going for the shield on that charge attack. Very smart play by them. But now I know I can survive a Shadow Punch here and try to make them either throw more energy or reach an Aerial Ace here in just a second. Our opponent now throwing another Shadow Punch. That is all of their energy down the drain, but down goes my Shadow Jumpluff. Maybe I should have baited here. There is still a lot of this Dusknoir that I have to take down. Our Psywaves are adding up against the Shadow Dusknoir, but our opponent will likely reach a Dynamic Punch, one of the strongest moves in the game. I will let this go. It's actually just a Shadow Punch, which is even better, which means at this point I can overfarm even more energy, go for a Sparkling Aria, and try to either knock them out or get their second shield. We do have a shield advantage right now with our Shadow Typhlosion. Our opponent has a Toxapex and a Primeape as their backline matchups here. Not exactly the worst spot to be in, but it could be a little bit tricky. We know that we have Thunder Punch for that Toxapex, and Shadow Typhlosion with how much attack it has, I think we can come close to two-shotting them. I'm going to go for the Blast Burn. I know at this point, maybe a Thunder Punch doesn't knock them out. I want to guarantee this final shield from them. We do draw the shield, and now I think I need a shield a second time, go for a full farm down, and try our very best to go for 2 Thunder Punches into that Toxapex if we can. In comes the full farm down. We are pretty low. Can we survive long enough here to reach 2 Thunder Punches into this Toxapex? It's going to be very close. In comes the first Thunder Punch. Our opponent at this point might be able to farm us down, but I do have back-to-back Thunder Punches loaded. I'm going to swap out, though. I know at this point I need to get a bit more chip damage with my Lapras. I don't want to give them any extra energy that I can help it against our Lapras here, so I swap out. I keep our Thunder Punch in the backline, and our Psywave and Sparkling Aria damage is going to put them into a range where that Thunder Punch in the backline should be able to finish them off. Sludge Wave knocks us out, but we have this Charge Move ready to go. I could have even gone for a Blast Burn here, but I'm not going to risk it. Go for the super effective Thunder Punch. This will knock out the Toxapex and take us the win here in this game. GG there to our opponent. Next matchup, Shadow Jumpluff into regular Jumpluff. Very interesting lead. It kind of depends who wins CMP and also if they're on Acrobatics or not to see how that matchup goes. But they actually just instantly swap out here, which is pretty nice for me, right? I have 2 Pokemon in the backline that have ways to one-shot a Jumpluff, so I am totally fine with them swapping out. I go for another bait here. Opponent this time ends up calling the move, so I am not getting the right ends of these baits right now. In comes a charge attack against us. It's going to be a Shadow Ball, which puts us into the red, but at this point, I'm just fine going for another Aerial Ace and seeing if either I can land this move or get a shield from this Grumpig. We do draw a shield, which is fantastic, and I think we might even reach another one if they don't throw a charge move, which is even better. Now this Grumpig is going to be very low on HP. They can't really double shield at this point. I say as they end up doing that. All right, not terrible. At this point, we can go for a 2-shield farm down, which I think is going to be massive for us. It really does depend on what their final Pokemon is going to be, but this much energy on a Shadow Typhlosion is nearly unstoppable. In comes another charge move. I will double shield. We know they have a Jumpluff. I guess we won't find out the third. We're able to sweep that endgame with Shadow Typhlosion. GG there to our opponent. Oh no, our opponent here, this game, having a very scary Pokemon, the Shadow Typhlosion of their own. Not a great lead matchup for us. We do 2 Fairy Winds and then swap out to our own Shadow Typhlosion to sync up our fast moves. And I know at this point, while I am down on energy, we did get a bit of fast move pressure against them with our Jumpluff. And in the 2-shield matchup here, we actually do so much Incinerate damage that if they end up staying in here, it's not all that bad for us. In comes the next charge move here from our opponent. This will draw our second shield. We absolutely need all of the damage we can get off to this Pokemon. We go for a shield on that Thunder Punch. We wait a turn, make sure this Thunder Punch can land into the proper target and does our opponent's shield. In comes the Thunder Punch. We do get a knockout actually, which is very nice to see. And now I can go for a Thunder Punch here against this Lapras. This is going to be very close. Can I reach another Thunder Punch against this Lapras before I get Psywave down? I'm not sure I can. It's going to be very close, but at this point, I do need Switch. Oh, so close. I was 1 fast move away from reaching that move. They do get a full farm down, and now I'm hoping that they are on Ice Beam and Sparkling Aria. If that is the case, our Lapras can sponge all of this energy, and I'm hoping whatever is in the backline, our Shadow Jumpluff can have some play into. They are throwing Sparkling Aria into my Lapras, which likely means they are on Ice Beam as their second move. Very happy my Jumpluff gets to avoid this, but it really, once again, comes down to what their final Pokemon is going to be in this game. Another charge move already is going to be reached here, but the thing is, I'm kind of fine with this at this point. I can take this damage here, swap into my Shadow Jumpluff, and I can outpace him to an Acrobatics before they can reach an Ice Beam against us. They don't catch or anything, so this move will knock out this Lapras here, taking down a lot of energy, and we have a ton of energy on our own Lapras in the backline, as well as potentially an Acrobatics that we can land into this Grumpig. we can outpace them before they can reach a Shadow Ball, which means this will put them into range where Sparkling Aria or maybe even an Aerial Ace could be enough to knock them out. They don't have any shields remaining, so they have to let that move through, and they know I have energy on Lapras. Their only win con is getting to back-to-back charge moves. Unfortunately for them, Jump Left a little bit too spammy. Ace is enough to knock them out and barely take us the win here against a very terrible lead. GG there to our opponent. Next game, a Blastoise. Not just any Blastoise. This guy's ready for a party. It's got the party hat on, and I don't really know what moveset they're running, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Ice Beam. I've seen a couple Blastoise run that moveset here, so what I want to try to do is I'm going to do one more Fairy Wind. I'm going to swap into my Lapras here, try to catch the Ice-type move on my water and ice-type Pokemon. There's a chance this is a Skull Bash, but our opponent, they do go for Ice Beam. Look how little damage that does. I already have a shield advantage in this game, and while Blastoise does have super effective rollout faster pressure into us, I'm not all that scared of it, and Hydro Cannon, while it is going to be a decent move, I resist that damage, so our sideways are adding up. I can take yet another charge attack here. Lapras is putting in so much work. We have energy as well still on the backline of our Shadow Jumpluff. We have the shield advantage for Shadow Typhlosion, and if we can knock out this Blastoise, our Shadow Typhlosion should be in a very good spot, depending on what our opponent wants to do. In comes our next charge move. I think Sparkling should be enough to knock them out here. Sidewave damage is adding up so quickly against this Blastoise. Sparkling is enough. Blastoise goes down, and in comes a Jumpluff of all things, a regular Jumpluff, so they might end up surviving this Ice Beam. Our opponent actually lets us get this Ice Beam off before they end up throwing an Aerial Ace, which means this will either draw a shield or get nearly a one-shot. They do shield, so we have a 2 shield to 0 advantage with our Shadow Typhlosion, but they do have a ton of energy right now with this Jumpluff, which could be a little bit tricky. With that said, I know I can shield this move, or I can call a bait. They go for the Acrobatic, so maybe I should have gone for a shield there, but I think we're still fine. We can reach this next move against a Clodsire. Blast Burn going to do a massive amount of damage here. Not quite a one-shot. This is one of the few Pokemon that can easily tank a move. I shouldn't say easily. They're all the way in the red at this point, but our Shadow Jumpluff at this point should easily win this game. Just overfarm enough here to go for an Ace against this Clodsire, as well as an Acrobatics against their opposing Jumpluff, and this game should be ours. In comes our Aerial Ace. This will knock out the Clodsire, and we are very close to an Acrobatics against the Jumpluff. Ace knocks him out here. They realize not much they can do. GG there to our opponent. Next matchup, Shadow Jumpluff into Shadow Dusknoir. We saw this lead matchup earlier today. Last time I played out this matchup, I actually full sent the Acrobatics, and we saw a shield, so I'm going to bait this time. I want to play it out a little bit better than we did last time. I know that in this matchup, it is going to do a lot of damage if my Acrobatics lands. Our opponent, though, they call it this time, of course. I am not making the right calls, I guess, with these baits, but I did win the last game. Let's see if I can win once again against a Shadow Dusknoir in the lead. I will be able to reach another charge attack right before the next Shadow Punch will be thrown, which means this will likely either get a shield or a knockout against the Shadow Dusknoir. Looks like we do draw a shield, and just barely we are not able to reach another charge move, which means they have so much energy on this Dusknoir. I think, though, we're not in a terrible spot, right? We can go for 1 Incinerate. That should be enough damage to knock them out and take out all of the energy on this Dusknoir. They only get 1 charge move off, and we have an energy lead on our Shadow Typhlosion. All right, at this point, I see another Toxapex. I'm kind of wondering, does that mean in the backline is another Primeape? If that's the case, then I want to make sure our Typhlosion is still very healthy. We go for a catch. I wasn't necessarily trying to catch the move as much as I was just trying to bank energy on our Typhlosion, but we catch the Brine even, which is even better for us. In comes the Primeape, so it is going to be that same team from earlier today, which means our sideways are going to add up quite a bit, but our Shadow Typhlosion has a lot of work to do. Rachis comes through here. It's kind of interesting. They went instantly for a Rachis. I wonder if that means they are not on close combat, or maybe our opponent at this point just wants to go for a farm down after going for that Rachis. Can Lapras survive long enough? We can. We can actually get another Sparkling area off before they're able to knock us out with those Karate Chops, which means now I get a shield and switch advantage against this Primeape. I have my energy in the backline with our Shadow Typhlosion here. Go for the Thunder Punch, knock out this Toxapex, and this should be game. This might not quite knock them out here, but either way, we have one more Incinerate that can easily land. We're not going to get farmed down, and we can take the win there. GG to our opponent. Next matchup, Shadow Jumpluff into Blastoise. We played this out a second ago as well, right? We were able to make a nice catch on an Ice Beam with our Lapras. I would love it if we could make that play again. With that said, it's not a guarantee they are on Ice Beam. There is always a chance they're on Skull Bash, and if that's the case, honestly, I probably should just stay in this lead matchup here, but we're going to try to be fancy once again, go for the catch on our Lapras. We get the catch, but what do they throw? It's a Skull Bash this time, so potentially not the right play here, but we are still going to be able to maybe farm them down before they get to another charge move. Let's see. Oh no, they are able to reach a Skull Bash here at the last second. Our opponent able to draw our shield, and they're going to actually go for a Hydro Cannon bait. Kind of an interesting play. And then they come in with a Jump Bluff of all things. That's another very interesting play from our opponent. Ice Beam might not get a full one-shot here, but it will likely draw a shield. Our opponent doesn't want to take that amount of damage. I reach yet another Ice Beam against their Jump Bluff before they're able to knock us out here. This either gets their second shield, or I guess if they let that go, puts them deep into the red. I think at this point, if they knock us out here with our Lapras, we should be able to farm down with our Jump Bluff. They do Aerial Aces here, and we are going to go for a farm down with Jump Bluff. They don't even throw the Aerial Ace. They could have gone for that. I think they were reaching for potentially an Acrobatics, and now their own Shadow Typhlosion is revealed. If they let this move through, then I can farm down with my Shadow Typhlosion. If they shield, then I can throw a move with my Typhlosion, but they do let it go. So now I just have to tap my phone screen, do as much fast food pressure as I can, and at this point, hope that there's no way that Blastoise can knock us out. They do swap in Blastoise here, but they do not reach a Hydro Cannon, which means now I can Incinerate it down and take the win here in that game. GG to our opponent. Next game, a Clodsire lead. Not a great lead matchup here, but it is a matchup that our backline does have a little bit of play into. I instantly swap into Shadow Typhlosion. Our opponent, for some reason, this is their best answer to a Shadow Typhlosion. It's a Shadow Primeape. Look at how much damage our fast moves are doing. I think 4 Incinerates are all it's going to take to knock out a Shadow Primeape. I love to see that here. At this point, I almost have 2 Blast Burns, so if that Clodsire comes back in, we're going to do a massive amount of damage, likely get a shield as well from them. So what was a very bad spot to be in is potentially turning into a pretty good one. In comes our first Blast Burn. Our opponent does shield that up. Very smart play by them, because if they ended up letting that go, then maybe I could start going for Thunder Punch baits. They didn't want that, so they end up shielding the first, and now the second will land, but because Typhlosion is so squishy here, our opponent will be able to farm us down, but not before a parting Thunder Punch will be thrown. At this point, this move will end up likely getting no shielded. They know it's just going to be a Thunder Punch, and they farm us all the way down. If they have Stone Edge, there's a chance they can do some real damage to Lapras here. Nice little one-turn lag denying us a Psywave. It shouldn't matter. At least I hope it's not going to matter. But it's just an Earthquake here too, so no Stone Edge. We'll love to see that. And in the backline, a Golisopod, not a Pokemon that our Jump Bluff has to be worried about. Our opponent top lefts. GG's to our opponent that game. Next matchup, a much better lead, Annihilape. It could have Ice Punch. That could be a little bit tricky if that is the case. Save swap of a Kecleon of all things. Oh my goodness. That is a crazy Pokemon to see. They throw after 6. I know that's an Aerial Ace. It is super effective, but it's non-stab. We're able to survive that, bank the energy actually, and now come in with our Lapras. I'm honestly not super sure on the charge moves that this Pokemon can have. I wouldn't be surprised though if they have some sort of electric type or grass type damage. I'm going to shield just to be safe. Thunder being thrown. Oh, geez, yeah. A good shield by us here. That would have basically knocked us out. So we're going to go for the Sparkling Aria now, try to Psywave down if we can, and see how our opponent wants to play this out. We do get the full Psywave down. Fantastic stuff here, and in comes that Annihilape once again. So the thing about this matchup, right? Psywave is super effective. We're going to be able to outpace them to 2 Sparkling Arias before even a single Ragist will be reached, which means likely we will be able to draw a shield or potentially just get a KO against this Pokemon. Sparkling Aria comes through, our opponent will shield that attack up, and now I'm going to hard pivot back to our Shadow Jump Bluff. I don't want to give him a farm down. It seems like they're trying to bait out our Lapras here, so we're going to go back into our Jump Bluff, get another shield here from this Annihilape, and now, it makes sense, I guess, right? Double Sucker Punch normal type Pokemon in the backline. This time it is the Furret. Furret is going to be able to put in a little bit of work into us here, but I know we're in such a good spot here with our Shadow Jump Bluff. I can shield up this Swift. I can go for an Acrobatics, knock out the Jump Bluff, or the Furret rather, with our Jump Bluff, and we should be able to close out this endgame matchup either with our Shadow Typhlosion or potentially just with faster pressure on our Lapras as well as our Jump Bluff. We're able to knock him out here, and I'm going to swap instantly into our Shadow Typhlosion. They either have to close combat us to knock us out, or we survive a Rage Fist. Either way, we're going to be in a very good spot. If they end up debuffing their defense stat, we can fast move down. If they don't, then we just Incinerate down, and we're able to win that matchup there. GG to our opponent. Next game, Shadow Dragonite in the lead. One of the better lead matchups that our Shadow Jump Bluff can see. Although Shadow Dragonite, we all know it's a bit of an impressive Pokemon in a lot of ways. It's able to dance around matchups, and our opponent here does a couple of fast moves. Then they swap out to a Blastoise. We try to once again go for the Ice Beam catch. Our opponent, though, might not be running Ice Beam. They are going to go for the Skull Bash, so yeah, maybe a bit of a misplay by me here. I'm getting a little bit too tricky going for these Ice Beam catches. I don't have Skull Bash of my own, so this matchup is going to just get worse the longer it goes on. In comes our Sparkling Aria. It's going to end up doing almost nothing after that defense boost here. Another charge move coming through, likely going to be that Skull Bash, and at this point, I'm going to have to throw a full-on Acrobatics if I want to knock out this Blastoise. I don't know what's in the backline right now. I'm hoping whatever it is, our Shadow Typhlosion has some play into, right? But that Shadow Dragonite is going to be what it's aligned into. What is their final Pokemon going to be? It's a Toxapex. All right, a Pokemon that we don't have a hard answer to with our whole team here. So a little bit tricky, but we can go for an Acrobatics, strip them down a little bit, and then swap into our Shadow Typhlosion, try to get an energy lead to reach 2 Thunder Punches against this Shadow Dragonite. It's going to be really close. If I can get both of the shields with these 2 Thunder Punches, I think there might be a chance for us. But if they end up farming us all the way down before the next Thunder Punch will be reached, Ah, man, unfortunately not. We're not able to get that move. They're able to win that game. GG to our opponent. Next matchup is going to be a Lapras in the lead. Honestly, not the best, not the worst. It's a Pokemon that has Ice Beam, obviously, but the thing is, Shadow Jump Bluff with Acrobatics can put in quite a bit of work just going straight Acrobatics here. Our opponent likely will let this move go, and if they do, I'm going to come in with our own Lapras here and either try to absorb the energy or see what they want to come in with. They bring in a Claydol of all things, a Pokemon that is not necessarily an answer to an Ice and Water type, right? It's a Ground type Pokemon, which means that our super effective Sparkling Aria damage is going to do a massive amount. They actually opt to shield up that first move, which does make sense, right? Rock Tomb going to come through. It will debuff my attack stat, which makes my next couple of charge moves here do a lot less damage. But our opponent, they might have miscalculated. I can reach 2 more Sparkling Arias before the farm down, and because of that, I think Lapras should be able to either draw the second shield or just get switch and shield advantage, which is kind of crazy here. Our sideways might have been resisted, but Sparkling Aria is a very powerful move. Down goes all of the energy on the Claydol. We got switch and shield advantage. What is the final Pokemon going to be? I know Shadow Typhlosion is going to be very happy now that they have let that Pokemon go. Yeah, jump off in the backline. Not much they could do there. GG to our opponent. All right, another Shadow Dusknoir in the lead. Fun fact, I think this is actually the same exact opponent we fought at the start of the day. Mr. SS Thorn, one of the best up-and-coming battlers in the world, a very young trainer as well, so we'll see how he's going to adjust in this game. If you remember, it's a Primeape and a Toxapex in the back line, so our Lapras has a decent amount of play. Our Shadow Typhlosion could be a little bit awkward depending on how our opponent wants to play this one out. In comes our next Aerial Ace here. Our opponent did go instantly for that Shadow Punch. Do we get a shield or will they let this move go? They do opt to shield up that move, which is a very smart play, and now we get completely farmed down once again right before my final Aerial Ace, which is not great. And then they end up swapping out. It's an interesting play to do that, and I know it's an even more interesting play to come in with Lapras into our Primeape here, but I think at this point, if I can sidewave this Pokemon down, I might still be in a pretty good spot. We have super effective fast move pressure into them, and it looks like he's going straight for Rage Fist, but I do want to keep some HP if I can on my Lapras. In comes this full side wave down right now, but they have energy on that Dusknoir, which is very scary. If I can go for a fast move farm down, though, before they get to a second charge move, I should be in a very good spot. In comes a move. It has to be a dynamic punch to knock us out here. We no shield. They do dynamic punch us, and in comes another charge move. Oh, no. I thought I would be able to farm them down, but because I have such a clunky 5-turn fast move, they're able to reach that next Shadow Punch, draw our shield, and now without that shield, I don't think we have enough HP remaining. They're just going to go for a brine against us in just a second before we can reach 3 Thunder Punches. I think this game, Thorn is going to be able to overcome our Typhlosion. I'm going to go for a BM move here. The Blast Burn. Does our opponent shield this move up? If they do, then honestly, I'll consider that a victory. Yeah, we see a shield there. Love to see it. But yeah, unfortunately, very good adjustment here from our opposing trainer. We're going to get knocked out by this brine. GG to Mr. SS Thorn. Next matchup, Shadow Jumpluff into this weird thing. What's it called? Runerigus or something? I don't know. It's a really weird Pokemon. I don't see this too often, but I do know it is a very tricky Pokemon to end up fighting off against. Saying, I didn't even speak about this till now. My team is triple weak to Rock. Rock Tomb is super effective against every single Pokemon that I have on my team. Not exactly a spot you want to be in. We go straight for the Acrobatics here. Our opponent goes for an instant shield, which I guess I should have gone for a bait, but man, that's a hard move to call. In comes their next charge attack, Brutal Swing. I completely forgot they got that as well. So a lot of pacing. Honestly, very cool Pokemon. Maybe I should try this out in the next couple of days, but also it sounds like kind of a nightmare to use this in a Furret meta. But I guess maybe it has some play here because I'm so weak to it. It's putting in work against us. But our Lapras can survive that Rock Gym. We can go now for a Sparkling Aria. Our opponent likely will let this move through because they already have gotten one shield used. They don't want to use the second one already. And okay, interesting. They come in with a Talonflame. We can go for the Sparkling Aria, and while this is going to be debuffed, it is still super effective. If I can land this move, I think I can put them into a nice Incinerate down range where I can shield once, go for 2 or 3 more Incinerates, knock them out, and then start Blast Burning whatever is in the back. Our opponent brings in their final Pokemon. It's going to be a Furret, so that's a fantastic spot to be in here. Blast Burn will easily either one-shot or put them into a nice farm down range. One way or another, though, this Furret is not going to knock us out before I can get to a second Blast Burn. They still have their Talonflame in the back line, but they can't make a catch on it. They just barely swapped in this Furret. Swift will draw our final shield, but now Blast Burn will come through, knocking out this Furret, and I think we can even Incinerate down the rest of the way on that Talonflame. In comes the Blast Burn. We knock out the Furret, and that Talon in the backline is not healthy enough. We're able to farm down Shadow Typhlosion, closing out the end game against such a tricky lead matchup. Well, speaking of a tricky lead matchup here, Aurorus is a terrible Pokemon to see. A Rock and Ice type Pokemon. We have 2 kind of answers to this in the back, but in comes a Shadow Annihilate to answer our Lapras. The thing is, I think that I can get a shield advantage in this matchup. If I can get a shield advantage, then anything is possible with our Shadow Typhlosion in the backline. So that's what I think I'm going to go for. I shield the first Rage Fist, I go for the Sparkling Aria, and I think at this point I can outpace before getting completely farmed down to the next Sparkling, which should either draw the second shield or potentially flip Switch. I don't want Switch though. If they go for just going for notioning that move and farming me down with an energy lead Aurora, that could have been pretty bad. Our opponent, though, does not opt for that. Instead, they do double shield, and I bring in my jump left. They go for what is almost certainly going to be an Ice Punch, but I don't feel like I can shield this move up. Ice Punch would easily one-shot us here, but I want to save my shield for my Shadow Typhlosion. And comes a Shadow for Alligator. Okay, maybe there's a chance. Thunder Punch should easily be able to one-shot them right now. It does knock out the Water-type Pokemon. It's kind of crazy to say, but Shadow Typhlosion's honestly just kind of a Feraligatr answer. In comes that Auroras once again, and this is going to be so close in the end game. I need to be able to have 2 Charge Moves back-to-back, which means I need to be able to survive, I think, 5 more Powder Snows as well as a Weather Ball if I want to be able to bank back-to-back moves. In comes another Weather Ball here. I will end up surviving, but it's going to be so close if I can get these back-to-back Blast Burns off. I do just barely survive. I go for the Blast Burn. This will knock out the Auroras here, and I will have another Charge Move ready to go up against that Annihilate. We're able to throw the move and take the game just barely. One of the worst leads we could see here, but Shadow Typhlosion with that shield in the back line, getting a complete sweep. GG to our opponent. Next matchup, Shadow Jumpluff into the opposing Shadow Jumpluff. Very interesting lead matchup. It's going to come down to who baits, who wins CMP, what moveset do they even have? Maybe they don't even have acrobatics here. So we're going to go for a bait on the Aerial Ace. Let's see if they want a shield or if they're going to go for a full-on nuke. They do win CMP, which is never nice to see. Acrobatics and we lose CMP, and we go for a bait, which means they might no-shield this attack, which would be kind of catastrophic. And yeah, this matchup is unwinding for us right now. We actually both simul-swap here. I swap into my Lapras, they swap into the Shadow Feraligatr, and this is kind of where you'd wish you have access to Skull Bash. With that said, I am able to still do a lot of Psywave damage to them. Hydro Cannon, while it will do quite a bit of damage to me, it's not going to be able to just one-shot, but the next one would come close to putting me into Shadow Claw downrange, so I will shield overfarm just a little bit here and start throwing out my Sparkling Arias. I know energy on Lapras is going to be a very important thing for the backline, so I'm going to try our best to keep it if I can. We go for that full Psywave down. Down goes the Gator. Oh man, in the backline, it's going to be their own Shadow Lapras. I was a little bit late to throwing the Sparkling Aria as well. I think if I would have thrown it just a little bit sooner, and then I could have swapped to my Shadow Typhlosion, we would be in a pretty good spot. But I gave them just, I think, one too many Psywaves, which means they can CMP me on the second Thunder Punch. If I swapped out one Psywave sooner, I could get both of these Thunder Punches off, but in comes the CMP as we thought here, which means now I only get one of these 2 moves, which means they will still have a shield for that jump off in the back line. If I could have got that final Thunder Punch off, I think this game would be very winnable, but now it's going to come down to the wire. He needs to have perfect energy management against us if they want any chance to win this game against us, but I do think our opponent knows that, and they will play to that win con. In comes our own Lapras here. We have our Shadow, or our Lapras against the Shadow Jumpluff. We have our own Shadow Jumpluff in the back line with a bit of energy, but we know Aerial Ace will knock both of our Pokemon out. At this point, we don't have any energy. Well, I think we have like 2 Fairy Winds on our Jumpluff, but we know we lose CMP, and at this point, they're just 1 Fairy Wind away from another Aerial Ace, which means they're going to be able to outpace us, knock us out. Very well played by our opponent. Maybe if I would have swapped out a little bit sooner to that Typhlosion, I could have had a better chance this game, but very well played once again to our opponent. Next matchup here, we're going to see a Shadow Jumpluff into the regular Jumpluff this time. So once again, very neutral matchup. I do wish my backline was against this Jumpluff rather than my lead, but we still have a lot of play. We try to go for a catch, but our opponent ends up overfarming, and they bring in a Furret. This is a little bit scary, right? They have a lot of energy left over on that Jumpluff. I think they have 9 Fairy Winds, which means they have back-to-back Aerial Aces, or even more energy than an Acrobatics. This is not looking great for us, especially after that Trailblaze boost, but maybe, just maybe, there's a chance I can get to 3 Sparkling Arias in this matchup. If that is the case, then we might still have some play. Lapras is well known for its bulk stat. In comes the next Sparkling. Our opponent could shield us up if they want to. They do. Okay, so if I can survive long enough to get to another Sparkling, no, I thought we could for just a second there, but they are able to farm us all the way down, which is kind of catastrophic. They are 1 away from back-to-back Swifts. They have a boosted attack stat thanks to that Trailblaze, so I think we will have to throw instantly here if we don't want to take that second charge move. I want to stay outside of range where I would get knocked out by an Aerial Ace. Acrobatics, though, from their own Jumpluff could still one-shot us. Let's see what they're going to throw. In comes a charge move. I'm going to have to make a big call. Is this an ace? Is this an acrobatics? We shield up at the last second, and it's a good thing we do. Acrobatics would have one-shot us here. In comes our next charge move. This will either get a shield or a massive amount of damage into the Jumpluff. They do actually opt to go for the no shield here, I'm going to force him to throw even more energy into our Shadow Jumpluff, and then try to sweep if I can with our Shadow Typhlosion. In comes Typhlosion here, and their final Pokemon revealed as a Grumpig. This is not the worst case scenario. It's going to be a very close endgame, though. I know that Thunder Punch will be able to knock them out in just a second here, and if I can, I want to get to 100 energy so I can reach 3 Thunder Punches, 2 against this Grumpig, and then 1 against that Jumpluff. This is going to come down to the wire. Do they have Aerial Ace on that Jumpluff? Are they going to be able to knock us out if they do have Aerial Ace? And if they don't have that move, or if they don't have the energy for it, can I just knock them out with a Thunder Punch? We are 1 Incinerate away. Shadow Typhlosion trying its best. We're able to reach the charge move, knock out this Jumpluff just barely before they reach the charge attack here. Typhlosion, once again, getting a fantastic endgame sweep. Shadow Typhlosion is one of the most offensive Pokemon in the entire game. A Shadow Pokemon with a massive attack stat. Blast Burn, one of the hardest hitting moves in the game. Thunder Punch coverage as well, very good for the water types that you see very often, and its pacing is just insane. I love this Pokemon. It is very hard to use though, but look at that. We're at 3354, new season high, once again, top 15 in the world using this team. So it was a lot of fun. If you want to try out Shadow Typhlosion, this team works out very well, but it is, once again, a little bit tricky to use, so keep that in mind if you do want to give it a go. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed the battles and you want to see more content like this on the channel, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.